Have you ever felt drained after spending time with someone, but couldn't quite explain why? As if your peace was stolen, but not by force, by something quieter, subtler. A smile that hides resentment, a compliment that wounds, a presence that twists your sense of self. This isn't paranoia, it's pattern, and Carl Jung saw it clearly, that not all darkness lives in shadows. Sometimes it lives in the people closest to you. You try to be kind, to be patient, to give people the benefit of the doubt, but somewhere along the way, you forget to give that same kindness to yourself. Because here's the truth. There are people who do not want you to grow. They will not say it out loud, but their actions speak in silence. They belittle you in subtle ways. They compete while pretending to support. They wear masks, and if you don't learn to see them, you will lose yourself trying to please them. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So let's make the unconscious conscious. Let's uncover 6 dangerous types of people you must protect yourself from, not with fear, but with awareness. Because your peace is sacred and your time limited. The first, the resentful friend. They smile when you succeed, but only with their mouth, not their eyes. They don't celebrate you. They tolerate you when you're doing well. Their compliments come wrapped in subtle criticisms. Wow. Must be nice to have everything handed to you. I guess things just fall into place for you. You feel guilty for growing. You start shrinking yourself so they feel comfortable. But let me ask you something. When did you start dimming your light to keep someone else from squinting? Jung warned of the shadow self, the parts of us we reject and project onto others. The resentful friend has not faced their own shadow. Instead, they envy your growth because it reflects their stagnation. They're not your enemy, but they're not your ally either. You don't owe them your energy, not if they make your success feel like betrayal. The second, the chronic victim. This one is trickier. They always have a story, always a reason why life is unfair, always someone to blame. And at first you want to help. You give, you listen, you sacrifice, but it's never enough because they don't want healing. They want attention, control, sympathy. They weaponize your empathy. Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. The chronic victim doesn't want change, because to change would mean taking responsibility. And so they keep you trapped in their storm while making you feel like the umbrella. But you're not here to be someone's emotional sponge. You're not a rescue boat for someone who insists on sinking. The third, the chameleon. They mirror you perfectly. They like what you like, say what you say, agree with everything, smile at everything. But something feels off, or doesn't it? Because beneath the agreement there's no essence, no spine, no truth, just performance. This is the chameleon. They don't connect with you. They study you. They adapt not out of respect, but out of strategy. Why? Because when you don't know what someone stands for, you don't know what they'll do when the mask slips. Jung spoke of the persona, the social mask we all wear. But when someone only lives through persona, they become dangerous. Not through violence, but through deception. You deserve people who meet you with honesty, not manipulation. And if this message is landing with you, if you're beginning to see these patterns in your own life, hit subscribe. We go deeper like this every week. This is about reclaiming your inner clarity, your strength, your intuition. Because when you know what to look for, you stop making excuses for people who chip away at your soul. Let's keep going, because clarity requires courage, and the people who truly rob us rarely do so with force. They do it with charm, with neediness, with silence. You're not imagining it. The fourth, the passive-aggressive underminer. They never confront you directly. No, that would be too honest. Instead, they operate in whispers, in half smiles and subtle digs, in sarcasm that stings just a little too much. You share a win and they say, "Oh, look who's finally doing something with their life." You express a boundary and they respond with, "Relax, I was just joking." You feel insulted, but if you speak up, you're too sensitive. Sound familiar? This is emotional warfare through etiquette, and it's deeply corrosive. Nietzsche once wrote, "Distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful." These people punish through withdrawal. They punish by pretending nothing is wrong while their energy screams otherwise. They want control, but without confrontation. And so they weaponize guilt to keep you small. But you don't have to play that game. You can walk away from people who drain your spirit with polite cruelty. You don't need their approval. You need your peace. The fifth, the narcissistic opportunist. This one is seductive. At first, they seem magnetic, charismatic, confident. They make you feel special, chosen. But slowly, the mask begins to slip. Their love turns conditional. Their kindness transactional. Their presence possessive. You begin to exist not as a person, but as a mirror for their ego. Carl Jung believed that narcissism stems from a disconnection from the self, an inflated persona trying to hide an empty shadow. And when you stop reflecting what they want to see, they discard you, not out of hatred, but because their empathy was never real. It was bait. And this is where the pain cuts deep, because you thought it was love, but it was need. It was hunger wearing a smile. You deserve real connection, not performance, not control, not manipulation wrapped in charm. The sixth, the chronic competitor. This one hides in plain sight. A colleague, a sibling, a friend. You share good news and they suddenly shift the topic back to them. You take a step forward and they suddenly remind you of your past mistakes. They turn everything into a race. A silent scoreboard only they can see. Why? Because your growth feels like their decline. Your success threatens their sense of worth. Jung believed the unintegrated shadow leads to projection. Instead of facing their own inadequacies, these people compete, not to win, but to not feel less. But here's what you must remember. You're not in competition with anyone. Your journey is your own. Your timing is sacred. And anyone who makes your evolution feel like betrayal was never rooted in love to begin with. And now, take a breath. Because this isn't about paranoia. It's not about fear. It's about seeing clearly, recognizing patterns, choosing boundaries over burnout. The world will always have dangerous people, but that doesn't mean you have to invite them into your inner circle. If this message is giving you clarity, subscribe. We walk through the shadows together, and each week, we go deeper into the truths that set you free. You're not here to fix everyone. You're here to protect your peace, to walk your path without apology. Let's bring this home, because knowing the 6 types isn't the end. It's the beginning of deeper awareness, of powerful self-respect. You've been taught to be nice, to be accommodating, to give people the benefit of the doubt. But what if I told you that politeness is sometimes the language of self-betrayal? The inner shift, you start to feel it. That twinge in your gut when someone crosses the line. That whisper in your mind when their words don't match their energy. That quiet exhaustion that follows every interaction with them. That's your psyche speaking. And for too long, you've been trained to ignore it. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." You're not cursed. You're just awakening. And awakening always begins in discomfort, because seeing people clearly often breaks your heart before it sets you free. You realize that some of the people you've been defending were slowly undoing you, that some of the laughter you shared had bitterness beneath it, and that hurts. But it's a holy kind of pain. It has the pain of pulling the knife from your back and choosing not to bleed for people who wouldn't bandage you. Reclaiming power. So how do you move forward? You start by honoring your inner alarm system. Not every suspicion is paranoia. Sometimes it's wisdom in disguise. You stop over-explaining you know. You stop trying to prove your worth to those committed to misunderstanding you. You let go of the guilt they trained you to carry. The one that made you feel like protecting yourself was cruelty. You return to your sovereignty. And here's the truth. When you start walking in self-respect, the wrong people will call it arrogance. The insecure will call it selfishness. The manipulative will call it change. But don't you dare shrink back, because every time you choose yourself, you give others permission to do the same. Final words, there will always be those who test your boundaries, who mask their harm with smiles, who pretend to celebrate you while secretly hoping you fall. But you were not made to live in fear. You were made to walk in clarity. Carl Jung believed the path to individuation, the full realization of the self, requires you to confront the shadows around you and within you. And sometimes, the greatest act of courage isn't facing the world. It's walking away from those who've made your light feel like a threat. So I leave you with this question. Who are you still protecting? At the cost of your peace? And when will you choose you? Because the moment you do, that's the moment you're finally free. If you felt something shift during this video, hit subscribe. We go deeper like this every week. Until next time, stay awake, stay grounded, and protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is.